What would you do if the two people you trusted most, your husband and your mother, betrayed you in the worst way possible? For 22 years, Sarah believed her life was perfect, until everything came crashing down in a single moment. My name is Sarah. For 22 years, I had everything I thought I could ever want. My husband, Ethan, and I were high school sweethearts. We got married young, and over the years, our bond only deepened. We had 4 beautiful children together, each one a reminder of our shared love and commitment. Despite the challenges that come with life, we always found a way to keep our relationship intact. We still had dates, still exchanged gifts, and were as intimate as we were when we first met. We were a family, and I had no reason to question that. But there were always small moments, barely noticeable, that made me wonder if everything was as it seemed. My mother, Helen, who had always been supportive, had a closer relationship with Ethan than I was comfortable with at times. She would visit often, and when she was around, the atmosphere between them felt different. I would brush it off, tell myself I was just being paranoid. After all, they were family. What could possibly go wrong? It all came crashing down one fateful New Year's Eve. The kids were asleep, and Ethan and I had just come back from a romantic dinner. The house was quiet, and I was looking forward to a quiet evening with him. As I entered our bedroom, the last thing I expected was to see my mother, Helen, in our bed with Ethan. The sight was like a punch to my chest. I froze. It took a moment for everything to sink in. I didn't know what I was seeing. The image was so surreal. It felt like a nightmare. My mother was in my bed with my husband, in a way that was more intimate than I could have ever imagined. My mind raced, and I couldn't process it. Ethan and I had been together for over 2 decades. There was no way this was happening. What is this? I choked out, my voice barely a whisper. Ethan scrambled out of the bed, his face pale. Sarah, please. But I didn't want to hear his excuses. I turned to my mother, my heart sinking. Mum, how could you? I whispered, my voice breaking. Helen looked at me, her face filled with shame, but also something else, something that resembled guilt. But it was too little, too late. She didn't apologize. She didn't even try to justify it. She just stood there. What is going on? I asked, now fully panicking, trying to make sense of the chaos. It's been 22 years, Sarah, Ethan admitted, his voice trembling. We've been together, in secret. Your mother and we've been having an affair for all this time. I couldn't breathe. The words hit me like a freight train. The betrayal wasn't just that they had betrayed my trust in one moment. It was the fact that they had been doing this behind my back for 22 years. All those years I had spent building a life with Ethan, raising our children, thinking we were partners in everything. All of it, a lie. I immediately reached for my phone, my hands shaking. I called my father, trying to hold it together. Dad, I need you. Please come over right now. I need your help. I could barely keep my voice steady as I spoke to him. Within an hour, my father arrived, his face grim as he took in the situation. He didn't say anything right away. I didn't expect him to. But I knew he understood the depth of this betrayal. He was in shock too. I need to get to the truth, Sarah, my father said quietly. I'll have DNA tests done for the 3 youngest children. If they're Ethan's, then I need to know. We need the truth. The waiting was the worst part. My father had arranged for DNA tests to be done immediately on Ethan's children with my mother. I barely ate or slept in the days that followed. My mind couldn't stop racing about the lies, the years of deception, about how everything I thought was real was nothing but a facade. Finally, The day came when my father called with the results. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at the phone, my heart pounding in my chest. "Sarah," my father said softly, "the results came back. They're all Ethan's children." I felt the world tilt beneath me. I was numb, but at the same time, every part of me was screaming. The pain was suffocating, unbearable. I had to leave. I couldn't stay in that house. The trust was gone. Everything that had held me together for years, all of it was shattered in one instant. I left that night, taking only what I could carry. I couldn't bear to look at Ethan or my mother. The betrayal was too deep. My heart couldn't handle it. The house that once felt like home now felt like a prison. I needed to escape, to breathe, to think. I moved in with my best friend Clara, who had been a constant source of support throughout this nightmare. She didn't judge me. She simply listened, holding me as I cried for what felt like hours. I had no answers. I had no idea what the future would look like. But there was one thing I did know. I was not going to let this define me. I had to find a way to survive this. For my children, for myself. I had always been strong, and I wasn't about to let this betrayal break me. The days that followed were a blur of therapy sessions, long talks with friends, and painful realizations. I had lost so much in one instant, but I also realized I had gained something. Strength. The strength to face this head-on. The strength to rebuild my life. It wasn't easy. There were days when the pain of betrayal would overwhelm me. When I questioned my worth, my ability to trust anyone again. But with every tear I shed, with every step I took toward healing, I grew stronger. I began to see that this wasn't the end for me. It was just the beginning. I decided to focus on my children. I knew they needed me just as much as I needed them. We would rebuild together. And little by little, we did. It wasn't easy to forgive. Forgiveness was something I had to work toward. Not just for Ethan and my mother, but for myself. I had to forgive myself for not seeing the signs, for trusting blindly, for allowing this to happen in the first place. The process of forgiveness didn't mean forgetting. It meant freeing myself from the anger and the bitterness that threatened to consume me. I started to find peace in small moments, in watching my children grow, in spending time with friends who had supported me, in finding joy in the little things that once seemed so insignificant. And then, when the time was right, I began to rebuild a relationship with my father, who had also been hurt by all of this. It wasn't easy. Trust takes time, but we work through it, one conversation at a time. Today, I stand here, stronger than I ever thought possible. The road has been long, filled with pain and heartache, but I have emerged from it with a new understanding of myself. The betrayal of my husband and mother will always be a part of my story, but it does not define me. I am Sarah. I am a mother, a survivor, and a woman who has reclaimed her life. And I know now that even in the darkest moments, I have the power to rise.